I'm a 3D artist, and today I'll be trying to create 3 of the most famous paintings in the whole world, starting out with the Mona Lisa. For Mona Lisa, let's first create Mona Lisa. The problem is, if you ask a 3D artist that what is the hardest thing to make in 3D, they will probably say, humans. What do we have here? Human. So, you're really wrong if you think that I'm going to make it myself. Yeah, that doesn't look like Mona Lisa. So instead of sculpting everything myself, I use a software called Character Creator, which is pretty reasonably priced. Now all I had to do was to adjust some sliders, and after a couple of hours, I had something that looked more like Mona Lisa compared to, well, yeah. Then I imported it to Blender and adjusted the pose according to the actual painting. And it seems like she's sitting on some sort of chair, so I just downloaded the chair from Blender Kit, which worked pretty well. Now, right away you'll notice that she's naked. So we have to make her some clothes. For that, I used another piece of software called Marvelous Designer. It's making this amount of clothing in Blender simulation, and although I couldn't figure out what the actual fuck she was wearing, after messing around with it, I managed to get something that was pretty close. I then exported it back to Blender and made some really complicated and advanced materials. Now that Mona Lisa herself is done— wait, she's bald. Whew, that's better. Now let's work on the background. I wanted to use Gaia for the terrain, but that would have been so overkill. So instead, I use the ADD landscape add-on that comes with Blender by default. And here, as you can see, I duplicate that same terrain to save time, VRAM, and sanity. I also added a layer of water on top of it, because water is cool, so drink your fucking water. I then put a wooden fence behind her, because, I don't know, is this a fence? And at the end, added a sky using the Dynamic Sky add-on and rendered the scene. But as you can see, the render looks pretty CG. Because it is fucking CG. So I went and used this new Firefly AI inside Photoshop and just told it to turn my render into an old painting. Gave it some time and it did its thing. Although some variations did give me trauma, this one turned out pretty well. Now let's move on to the next painting, this Scream. First, I started by adding a sunset HDRI from Polyheaven, my favorite website for HDRIs, which acted as both the light source and a sky. And then I started modeling this bridge thing and gave it some materials from Blender kits. Now it was time to make this alien artist back in the days, bro. So again, I headed to Character Creator to make the base body. And since here I'm not working with a full-ass human anymore, I can just sculpt the head and put it on top of my already created body, just like this. But now, our alien friend here seems kinda cold, so I quickly made him a v-neck and now he's dripped out. For the background, I used the same landscape add-on with the lake presets. I then gave it a water material as well as a grass material, something that you haven't touched in years. For these handsome fellas in the background, I just used this full body scan, again from Blender Kit. I know I'm lazy, you don't have to tell me. And with that, I was ready for render. After rendering, I was trying to do the same thing where I used the AI inside Photoshop, but... so let's see how the painting is going to turn out. Yes, sir. The last painting, The Starry Night. I'm going to start off with the train using the same ADD landscape add-on. For the sky, I use this HDRI that has some nice stars. The little houses were just some simple low poly shapes that I quickly modeled and put on top of each other, which I then made 4 variations of so it doesn't become repetitive. I then gave each one of them their own set of materials. From where, you asking? Blender kits! I then had to scan them by hand, cause for some reason, You cannot scatter objects as a whole and you have to join them all together, otherwise they will be at random places. Anyways, I then went and yoinked these two trees, which one I scattered around the scene, and the other one that I placed here which resembled this bigger tree, which kinda looks like your mom. At the end, I rendered it and used the same AI technique like before, and with that, our challenge is over. Thanks for watching, bye, see ya.